What is up, and welcome into the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I'm your host, Ezra McCann, and I'm joined as always by my outstanding co-host. He's a Chicago Public League legend. He's a Simeon legend. He's a Grambling State legend that's not too happy. He played second base for the Tigers back in the day. It's Brandon Williams, aka Coach Smoke. I assume we're gonna get into that later on, right? What's going on down in Grambling?
Yeah. We're gonna get into that a little later on, man.
And he's the NFL draft enthusiast. We're not gonna talk about his Madden game because it's whack.
Let's make that analyst. With that
analyst.
Oh.
Is that a new title for you now?
Hey, we've been doing it for 2 years. That's what we do. We analyze.
He's an NFL draft analyst for NBCSportsChicago.com. You can find all his work there and also on the My Teams app. He's Glenn Morgan. His mock drafts up and available right now. It's his time of year. Fellas, how you guys doing?
Doing all right, man. And I'm going to slide in. Man, I'm 10-0, baby. 10-0. I'm just sliding in.
Let's see if you finish the deal, man.
Right. Hey, I only have one loss. Only one loss to a human being. Only one loss to a human.
But you lost to the computer.
Was the big one.
That was last year. This year I'm 10-0.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Justin Fields, number one quarterback in the NFL. So I'm just saying, that's what we do.
All right.
Hopefully we're projecting.
Yes.
Well, fellas, we got a lot to talk about, and I know that we have a lot of opinions on what's going on with these subjects. So we will start with our beloved team, the Chicago Bulls, who are having some issues right now. If I would say so myself, I'm getting tired of, coming up with excuses of why this team can't beat good teams, right? And I know that, guys are out. Lonzo Ball is out. Caruso's out. And Williams is out. But come on, our big three, that's our supposed big three, are together right now. They should be able to hang with the likes of the Miami Heat and the Memphis Grizzlies of the world, right? Yes. No, come on now.
It's easy to say yes, but it comes back to what I spoke on in the very beginning when we was completely healthy. Physicality. We're not a physical team. Those two teams are very physical, and they punked us.
Yeah,
I don't think they're as far as like more talented than us, but they're definitely more physical. And they have that physical identity, and it shows.
That number 12 for Memphis is more talented than us, though.
Oh yeah. He
showed out. Oh my God.
He's a special guy.
He's a
special guy. But that's the main thing to me. And I'm starting to feel like how I felt last year. Lack of point guard play is really starting to hunt us. Our offense is very iso ball for the most part.
Yeah.
And our two guards that are out are what makes our defense go. Vooch is getting killed because our guards now can't guard nobody. So he's not athletic enough to move quick enough to do this and get back. So it's like he's getting dominated and the pick and roll is just eating him alive. But our guards can't stay in front of anybody. Like I watch games and guys are turning that corner and they are like getting beeline straight to the rim. Like, where's the defense? Like but it is what it is. I'm not going to. Yeah, I was a little frustrated last night. I was. Because although I do feel the Heat are more physical, I feel we could have put up a better showing.
Absolutely.
Like I'm not mad at losses that look like you played hard and you just lost. To me, they just look like they got punked. And so that's what frustrated me. But But it's a effect of not having those guys. I mean, it's no coincidence that our defensive rating with Caruso and Ball was like we were like a top 5 defense. Now we're like 24th. Like that's crazy that 2 guards can make that big of a difference. But that's the game of basketball. You got to be able to guard the perimeter. If you can't guard the perimeter, you're in trouble. And that's our problem right now.
Yeah, what he said. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of everything you're saying. I mean, to the Miami Heat point, I'm not annoyed. I'm not even disturbed. I'm not surprised. I'm not troubled. It's just a hurdle we're going to have to get over, and we have to learn how to get over it. The Heat, this iteration of the Heat, they've been together for at least 3 years now, basically. You know, these are the guys that played in finals when it was in the bubble. Miami hasn't really changed its identity. And it's a key word you said earlier, Smoke, identity. They know who they are. And the Grizzlies have discovered that they feel comfortable playing in the roles that they're playing in now. So they're comfortable in who they are, and they have an established identity. One based on physicality, and you're right, that physicality is an issue for us. But getting back to the Miami Heat, as I watched yesterday's game, I'm like, this team just knows who they are. They know what to do. They know where and how to attack the Bulls. And not only are they a physical team, they're a well-coached team. That coach has been there like forever, you know, and he's become a much better coach over the years. Smoke. Yeah, very good coach.
They named him a top 15 all time.
He deserved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with it.
Deserve it over the guy in Philly, I can tell you that. But go ahead.
So I saw
hating
them.
on Doc, boy.
Doc is terrible.
Come on, he's hometown. But yeah, so with Miami Heat, again, like I said, just not surprised. I saw how they, you know, trap us in certain spots, and they just like everything was just so timed and executed. And that's the thing. We're struggling with our execution. And as you mentioned, a lot of that's because of our guard play. You know, our main ball handlers are not there. And we're entrusting a rookie to do a lot of it. And he does a nice job, but he's not a penetrator. He's more of an opportunist. He knows how to be clever, but he's not at that level where he's just attacking and penetrating. He takes advantage of opportunities, and he's kind of like the judo point guard. He uses their momentum against them, and, you know, nice bounce pass here and nice wraparound here, but he's not the guy that's taking it to you. And defensively, obviously, we're missing those guys too. But offensively, what happens is you mentioned the ISO ball because, yeah, we're leaving it into 2 scorers' hands, and Levine and DeRozan, those guys are score. So, and although they can pass and they do, you know, facilitate to some degree, they're not point guards. They don't have a point guard's mentality. Even though Zach came into the league as a point guard, he didn't develop into that. He's definitely, you know, he is a guard. Yeah, he is a shooting guard, which is what he should be, you know. And so they're playing. The guys are playing out of position, and they're playing out of roles, so to speak. And so at times that offense is going to bog down. I mean, if we didn't have Bissouma, we'd really be in trouble, to be really honest with you. So the fact that the rookie is making that much of a difference has helped buoy us enough to where we've been able to sustain and stay in the top 4. But we are now exposed, and teams are like, okay, this is how you attack the Bulls. And like you said, Vooch has got his head spinning. He's like on a racetrack. You know, his head's just spinning around because they come at him. Because teams, you know, they're explicitly and expressly going straight at them because they're like, hey, he's not a good rim protector. He's not athletic, as you mentioned. All these things. And the Bulls haven't figured out how to contend with that yet because either they're waiting for that guys to come back or they don't have the personnel to quite sort of kind of figure it out. And it's kind of some of the same thing. 2 things can be true at the same time. So that's a problem why I think we struggle with not only good teams, but well-coached teams and teams that know who they are. And that's going to be a problem in the playoffs. Until these guys come back. But even when they come back, there's no guarantee we're just going to flip the switch and be great because, again, how healthy will they really be? And then there's still the getting back in the sync. And then there's and then there's still other issues. We still need a sharpshooter. We don't have a sniper. We've got guys that can shoot it from outside, but they're not snipers. They can take some sniping shots, but they're not Patty Mills and not Seth Curry. They're not Joe, what's the dude for the Nets?
Harris.
They're not Joe Harris and not Steph Curry. They're not those kind of guys. So that can be problematic at times. And yes, we got a little bigger with Tristan Thomas in there, and that's a great thing, but it's not Thompson, but it's not something that's going to stop Embiid. It's not something that's going to necessarily stop the brother that went to the Nets from Philly that got traded over there. Drummond, I mean that dude's a 20 rebound waiting to happen, and
he can actually be self-checked. He doesn't bring it consistently. That's that. I get what you're saying. You're saying.
The preponderance of these things, along with having to deal with someone like Durant and those other guys. I'm just saying our depth improved. We've solidified ourselves a bit more. We can probably handle someone like Cleveland because I think we're a bit more skilled, and a bit with DeRozan, we have a bit more veteran, and our basketball IQ is a bit more experienced and more developed. I think our culture is a little bit better, but when it gets to the Milwaukee's, possibly the Phillies now with Harden and Embiid joined together, and we couldn't stop them before Harden was there,
right? And
with a healthy Nets team, and with Miami being who and how they are. We're looking like what we probably thought we were going to be somewhere at the beginning of the year, somewhere between 5 and 6, 5 and 7 maybe. So, we're regressing to the mean a little bit. But again, all that, I still am not annoyed or upset because I think we're still ahead of schedule a little bit. I mean, the fact that we came together as quickly as we did, as well as we did, and took advantage of our opportunities like we have is fantastic. And that's a portent for things to be really good going, into the future if we can keep on this kind of pace and adding the type of thing. And then I think one thing that's really good, and I'll stop on after this. One thing I think is good about this whole staff, from the top down, Connor Sovis, and everyone else down to the coaching staff. I think these guys, when they see a problem, they're able to identify it, and they're truthful to themselves about it, and it will be addressed. And if it can't be addressed immediately, it'll be addressed as soon as it can be. And so far, they've shown that. They showed us that last year. They showed us that in the off season, and they showed it to us again during trading deadline. So I have confidence that if it's not this year, which clearly to me it's not, and maybe not next year, maybe DeRozan, we don't know how much longer he'll play at a all-star level, but this is still a pretty young team. Yeah. And I think we'll find the piece. And not only that, but I think Chicago's starting to become, if we could take what Tristan Thompson said, Chicago's starting to become a bit more of a, idealized destination for some players. And because of the way they play and just the camaraderie, it's like, guys get that vibe, man. They're like, dude, yeah, okay, yeah, I can rock with these fools. And so I think where we didn't have that vibe, we hadn't had that vibe
in a
long time. I mean, even with D Rose, we didn't really quite get it.
Nope.
Right.
Ever. So, I would say ever.
We didn't have it.
Oh, back in the Jordan years, we had it.
We didn't. There were no substantial names that came here.
Well, but the NBA that back then wasn't.
There was free agency.
That wasn't happening. But I'm saying it wasn't happening like that.
No,
like
I think the players wanted to come. Whether or not the coaching, whether or not Krause got him here, that's a different issue. But guys wanted to play with the Bulls because it was like, we know we can get a chip. I play with Jordan. I can get a chip.
Krause got guys here through trade. And it's probably not even worth talking about right now, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying that I don't think Chicago's ever been that free agent destination that players wanted to come to. I think until now,
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think it was, especially back then, it wasn't like people were going destination shopping either, though. Back in that time,
LA,
but there were still good players available.
LA wasn't crap until Shaq went there.
No, but I'm talking about like before, maybe when you weren't born yet.
I'm speaking in the 90s though. Like in that time, like guys really wasn't hoop hopping around like that until Barkley did it with going to Houston.
Phoenix, probably.
But and then
well, no, that was a trade.
It started more so in the 2000s with when I'll say it started with Karl Malone and Gary Payton jumped to the damn Lakers.
No, yeah, you're right. 2000 when McGrady and Grant Hill and those guys. McGrady left Toronto for Orlando. I'll give you that. Grant Hill went to Orlando from Detroit. Remember, the Bulls were trying to get him, and they sent Benny the Bull to O'Hare. And
I remember, but I mean, Shaq left before that happened, though. Shaq going from Orlando to LA happened before that. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, it's the element's been there in the NBA, but it's more pronounced now. You see a lot more of it.
It's different now.
You see a lot more of it.
Like, and it's because it's more of a friendly culture now.
Right. And I actually, to be quite honest with you, if you really want to say when these guys start playing USA basketball and they start hanging with each other a lot more, and also this generation grew up playing a lot of AAU together. So these cats had relationships, prior to, and there wasn't the divisiveness, so to speak. Hey, I don't like you. I'm gonna beat you. It was more like, hey, you know what? If we get together, what
we can do.
Yeah. We put our powers together. We can be the super friends. So I mean, you kind of had that, and you probably saw that more for LeBron, taking his talents, and Bosh joining Wade in Miami. So that's probably where you really see that, and then like Kevin Durant leaving and going to
elevated to new heights. In his day. But I wanted to reiterate what you said about like the organization. Like, yes, you're right. They are definitely showing that they can address those needs. But the most important thing about it is they're doing it logically. They're not just panicking and making irrational moves. They're doing this stuff logically. Like, everyone has been screaming, we gotta get bigger, we gotta get bigger. Trade this person, trade that person. I've been saying, like, it's no person to trade to get anybody that's going to make that big of a difference.
Right.
And they showed us that. They showed us
we couldn't trade Troy Brown Jr. and a draft pick for Joel Embiid. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, not even on NBA 2K. Not even on 2K.
Oh, I could make it work on 2K.
But that's the thing. Like, you think about, like, they making logical decisions. Buyout market was the only chance of us of getting a person with size that could help us now, be a little bit better.
Right.
And then as far as like our expectations, we did come into the season with 5 to 7 in mind. Right. I remember to start. Now, one team I did say we would be better than. That's why I've been beating myself up. I did say I think we would have been better than the Heat. I did. That was completely wrong. But everyone else, I said the Hawks, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Raptors, I was completely right on that. I was wrong on the Heat, and I kind of took like the way they had that success in the bubble. Then the next year they got bounced in the first round. Like, so I took that as, that bubble was just magic for them. But they proved me wrong. They did, but overall, the Bulls have proved us wrong as well. To an extent, at this point, they've overachieved what we truly thought they would be. And granted, they're starting to kind of slowly come back to where we thought they would be. And I mean, hey, that's not a bad thing. Who's to say what can happen in the playoffs? Anything could happen. A break here, a break there. No pun intended. No, I don't want nobody breaking anything. But like, anything could swing in your favor, So they are, at least in my eyes, that type of team where any advantage that they can get that can catapult them to another height. They're not one of them teams that it don't matter if goddamn KD go down, the Nets is still gonna beat your ass. Like, no, in my opinion, your team is gonna need everybody still to beat us, probably except the Sixers. Because if it gotta be Embiid that go down with the Sixers.
Right.
It can't be nobody else, But other than that, I think we're in a good place, man. We're in a good place. But yes, as a fan, you do get frustrated at times because you get excited and you getting used to the winning, but it is good to like pump the brakes and realize the expectations you had coming in. Like this team is doing a little better than you really thought. Like so.
Well, I mean, just think about where we came from the last 3 years. I mean, good Lord. Think about the head coach we had before him. This guy was a joke, a buffoon.
Yes.
Guys put on a time clock so these guys can punch in so they know they didn't work. I mean, whatever. I mean, come on, dude. Seriously? This is what we're doing?
Clown.
And Gar was head of that clown show too. It just looking like Beaker from the Muppet Show. So I just,
wow.
They frustrated me, because they wouldn't, that previous regime wouldn't pull a trigger, wouldn't make a trade. We value our guys. And then you get pumped up because you get Dwayne Wade. Now look, man, I love Dwayne Wade like anybody else. Hometown guy, Hall of Famer, top 4 guard I've probably seen in my lifetime play the game, but not Dwayne Wade after 5 finals. It's just like,
exactly.
It's like, come on, dude. Like the tire is worn at that point. Don't start putting your chest out there because you got Dwayne Wade because he wants to come home. If that was the case, you should have got him like 6 years ago. When, if
broke the bank when he tried to become a free agent the first time.
Exactly. So yeah, that regime, because it's a clown show, But these guys, they're the real deal.
They did try.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
They did.
I'm not saying they didn't try, man. What I'm saying is
they just got beat.
They didn't succeed in all the other tries that were garbage.
Miami opened up that 3rd spot. That's what happened.
Look, dude, the Tracy McGrady thing was a big joke. They just couldn't lure anybody here, dude. It couldn't get Carmelo here. I mean, they couldn't get anybody here. Paul Gasol, we putting our chest out. Hey, we got Paul Gasol. He's like 75 years old. The guy's like practicing to be a doctor. He's got 1 foot out the league, 1 foot in the medical hospital. I mean, nice story, nice guy, Hall of Famer, but he's past his prime. Like, why didn't we get Gasol like 6 years earlier when we were trying to get him? It's like we always get these guys like the second time around after we missed out on them, and they're like, well, nobody else wants me here. I'll take your money. It's like, so yeah, these guys, this current regime is doing a much better job. I think the Bulls, I just think as fans, we got to be a little patient, man. I know we got pumped up, but really, dude, it's just, we've come such a far, it's such a far cry from last year. Like, it was painful. Yeah, painful to watch these guys. Literally, like, it hurt. It's like, ow, like, why is my eye hurting? It shouldn't be hurting like this. That's just bad basketball. Now you're like, dude, it's exciting, it's fun. We've had 3 or 4, game clinchers where we can come out on top, not Damian Lillard, bombing away and hitting it in our eye. It's just like we're doing that to other teams. Enjoy it. Enjoy it and realize it's, like in B said, respect the process, let it happen. And I think, like I said, it's still young. What's Zach, 26 years old? I mean, we still got some young cats, man. So and they drafted well, they got some nice pieces. I feel good about where we're going. That's my disclaimer for we ain't gonna make it out the playoffs.
Wow. So
second round, maybe. It all depends who we play.
It's all about matchup.
It's about matchups. And Zach's still not quite right, and it's okay. But I think he's trying to be the Zach he was before he got hurt. And so yesterday I saw him forcing some shots. I saw him double clutching sometimes. I'm like, dude, you didn't have to double clutch. You could just went straight up. He's trying to get back. And he will. I mean, I'm not worried about it. It's just we're off beat right now. That's all. We're just off beat.
Well, that was a lot of guys, especially last night.
Yeah.
Against Miami. They just couldn't knock down shots, man. whether it was Zach or Vooch or White, they would get some decent looks and just they weren't falling. That's gonna be a problem. And I think Smoke mentioned that earlier. We don't have a spot up guy
Glenn
necessary. Glenn said that. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. This coming week, another tough week, man. We're at Atlanta Thursday night, home
Milwaukee
for the
Friday.
Bucks, and then Monday in Philly for Joel Embiid and company, which I really don't look forward to. That dude, man, I think he's the number one Bulls killer of this generation, man. After LeBron, I'm sorry. LeBron's on another whole level there as Bulls killer, but Embiid is getting there.
He gotta kill us in the playoffs to take the title.
LeBron, I always said LeBron was karma for MJ.
Cleveland
when he was in Cleveland, yeah. But what can we expect? We still got another at least week until Caruso comes back, I'm sure, and then up a couple weeks for Ball. But this week in particular, until we're at least back on, we have another episode: Atlanta, Milwaukee, Philadelphia. What do you guys expect?
1-2.
1-2. You think they could beat Atlanta in Atlanta?
Beat Milwaukee here at home.
Wow. That's called a prediction right there.
I mean, Milwaukee hasn't been playing that great.
Exactly.
They haven't been playing that great. They're getting that championship, excuse right now. They have not been playing that great.
Nope.
When was the last time we beat Milwaukee with Giannis?
That's a good question. Don't know. Maybe when Derek was still here.
I think it's been a while. Yeah.
Back when Giannis was like just the Greek freak.
Yeah. We couldn't pronounce his name.
Couldn't pronounce his name. He wasn't good enough to be on a first name basis yet.
Right.
So pre MVP.
I'm gonna go 1-3.
Wow. So you're the negative Nancy this week, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Not me this time. I'm Mr. Positivity compared to you.
I kind of want to go 1-3. I mean 1-2 with us beating Atlanta.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
But I'm gonna say 0-3.
I agree with you on 0-3.
Wow.
I think Trey is gonna come in pumped up after the last showing here in Chicago.
Dusumo got him on lockdown.
We'll see. Milwaukee and then, like I said, Embiid is just he's just too strong, man.
Unless he takes the day off, which he might need to, because if they're gonna play him down the stretch every game, he's not gonna last to the playoffs. At some point, he needs to either take a rest or his body's gonna make him take a rest.
He gonna say, nah. He gonna say, I see the Bulls on the schedule.
I'm the real MVP.
I'm playing that game. That game.
I will show them who the MVP of the league is. Yeah, you're right. Probably just gonna play that one.
I like Embiid. I'm sorry. I do. Yeah. All right, fellas, let's move on to the saga that is the collective bargaining agreement negotiations for MLB. We got word today that the first two series of the regular season are off, canceled, kaput, because they could not come to an agreement. I don't know all the particulars of what's going on here, but I just know they're hurting the sport. This is going to do major damage to this sport if they're gone too long. Just because we live in a different era. This isn't 94 anymore. You know, this isn't, what was the one? There was one before that, 82, I think. There was
82,
a
yeah.
there was a labor stoppage. Uh, these are different times now. People have more things to do now and can find something else to do with their time real quick than to watch baseball. And you know, obviously the diehards, the guys like, you know, me and Smoke are gonna be there. I don't know, Glenn. Are you a big? I don't know if you're a big baseball guy.
Whoa, I'm a sports person.
I don't know if you're, but you're not a baseball diehard. You know.
But I wouldn't say I am.
Whoa! Wait a
You
minute.
know?
Wait a minute. Wait. You're the
Yeah,
one that played at the highest level.
he
I
messed you up there.
play, I coach, but I don't always watch on
Okay.
TV. So that's why I say I probably wouldn't say I'm a baseball diehard. Like for one, I guess it could be the fact that my team is not the home team.
Right. You're not in the local
so
market.
so I'm not watching, the Sox play on a regular. I might catch a game here or there. I'm not watching the Cubs play on a regular. I might catch a game here and there. And I do try to watch the games that, the Yankees come on nationally, but I don't always watch those games.
So you don't
It's
you don't
just
get the MLB package.
no, hell no. I
No.
wouldn't waste my money on that.
There. Okay. There you go. Here's a big Yankees fan that if he wanted to, he could get the major league package, but he
And
said,
watch every
"Nah,
Yankee
I'm good."
game.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm straight.
Baseball, you got a problem.
Well, I just want to throw this out there right quick because no one's touching on it. And it's kind of annoying the hell out of me. I think it's a conspiracy. How come every time they have a labor stoppage, the White Sox have a World Series championship caliber team? Back in 94, we knew in 93 the White Sox was going to be good. We knew it was going to be real good. And they were. They would lead. They should have gone to the World Series. Frank should have had another MVP. Now, see, in 2005, 2004, we didn't think that was going to happen. That just kind of came out the blue. We surprised everybody, so they couldn't stop it. Like, oh, wait, we don't have time to stop it. Oh, well, they'll fall apart. They'll fall apart. And the White Sox went post to post. Now, after the last 2 years, they see how we build it. And they like, ooh, man, the White Sox look good as hell. We need to stop that shit. So they breaking us up again. Bastards. They're doing this shit on purpose. I'm telling you, they hate the White Sox. They don't want to see us shine. They don't want to see us shine. And it's just wrong. Because I'm really looking forward to watching this team because they are exciting to watch. But yeah, man, dude, you're right. You're right, Ez. It's for the casual fan, it's like, whatever, dude. Like, fine, I can Netflix, Prime, kick it. And now that become after the last pandemic-y summers we've had, it's like, dude, now to get out and go out and do stuff, it's like later for you. So yeah, the casual fan, basically baseball figures they'll get some people back eventually. It's still an international sports. Maybe they're counting on some of that. But it's affecting regional sports networks, which affects you and me as. So that's, that's an issue. Players, basically the owners want things to kind of stay the same. The players want significant changes. And so that's a lot of the friction there. Players want the ability to be able to, I think for the minimum salary, I think it's around 600,000 now, and they want to raise it up to around 750,000 or so. And some of these guys only play, I guess the average years are like about 3 years for an average, the average player, not the superstar. So you have the elite players are getting their money, but the middle class is shrinking as far as the ball players go, and they're not being able to accrue the monies that they would like to accrue. And basically, I think that a couple of ways that Major League looks at as far as how they get their money, it's like obviously it's like revenue, and I think it's like how much the team is kind of worth. And the players are like, well, yeah, you look at the books, you guys are worth, billions and billions of dollars. And the teams are like, well, hey, that's if we sold the team. That's not, we're just looking at the revenue. You're trying to look at what we may be worth if we sold the team. Well, we're not selling the team. So what we're really bringing in is just the revenue. So you're asking for more than we really have, blah, blah, blah. So that, people are just kind of maneuvering their arguments back and forth. So that's a big deal. I know they're also talking about that year as far as being pre-arbitration money, and players being able to, like Chris Bryant's situation, where he wanted to play sooner, and they're like, no, we want to hold that extra. We'll bring you out in April so we can hold you a little bit year longer. Mm-hmm. And so that's a negotiating ploy that the players are like, you're kind of, taking advantage of that situation more so, and limiting our chances to get more money sooner, that kind of stuff. But I mean, if you look at it, it's like, I think with Major League Baseball, compared to like the other franchises, I think the return on major league franchises since 2002 has increased like 669%. Now, I don't understand the math behind that, but I know that's significant. And I think they're only behind the NBA, which improved like for 1,000%. And I think the NFL, which, we all consider to be king, was in third as far as the major sports franchises go, with 558%. So, but the point is, all of these professional sports franchises, they're all making money. They do better than people on the S&P. I mean, they're doing better than a lot of these Fortune 500 companies. They're making return even during the pandemic. They're still making money. So the players look at it saying like, well, dude, I mean, come on, y'all need to come up off it a little bit. And so it's hard for the players to trust the owners when it seems as though they're kind of, I won't say hiding the money, but they're kind of, maneuvering how their money is being.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Ownership or the teams haven't really opened their books. And then you have teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates that have a salary of $40 million for the team, and you got guys that are making that, single guys, or one player making $40 million a year.
right, more than one team
on other teams. So that's an issue,
right? That's
an issue. So I know for me, and like I said, I both sides need to figure this out. It's on both of them. And if it doesn't, it's going to hurt the sport. But I'm always a labor guy. I'm closer to being a player than I am a billionaire owner in my eyes. So if I had to make a choice, I'm obviously rooting for the player. But you're at a point now. You may have to sacrifice, because if you don't have anyone to watch your sport, the health of your sport's going to go is going to drop tremendously. So,
no, I'm 100% with the players, 100%, because baseball, more than just the money aspect, has faded into the backwind because of their process of becoming a Major League Baseball player. It's not appealing to the young kids. So baseball is already dying. Like, it's already dying. And the get off my lawn crew, sorry GM, you don't apply to this I don't think, but they don't want the game to be fun. All these unwritten rules still apply in the game of baseball. The game it's fighting with change, and it's more than just the money aspect that's killing the game. This is just adding to it.
Right.
The fact that the games aren't being played, but they got deeper issues, in my opinion, than this that need to be addressed. So I don't know what comes of it. I mean, I'm not losing any sleep that this has happened. You know, I mean, on the flip side,
That's
as
because
a
your
guy,
Yankees suck. Your Yankees suck. That's why you're not worried. See, if you were a White Sox fan, you'd be like, you need to get out there and play. I need to see a win.
but on the flip side, as a coach, as a trainer who loves the game of baseball, I find myself now wrestling in my mind, like, how do I keep a kid motivated to want to play this game besides just constantly preaching college, use it for college, because that's really all we preach from the organization that I work for. It's not about getting to the pros, but these kids have dreams, you know, and I mean, you don't want to continuously be that guy, man. F them dreams. It's about getting your education, you know, but it's like that's what it has to be when it comes to the game of baseball. That's what it has to be. Like,
so when you say process, is it that it takes too long to get to the majors? Is that what you're kind of referring to?
yeah, and they're making it harder and harder for those chances. They've shrunk the draft again. You know, it's just becoming even tougher to play Major League Baseball. It's already a hard sport to play. And then the process on top of that is just extremely hard, you know. I mean, yeah.
Let me ask you this: for outside of just kids playing, actually getting kids interested in watching the game, what can they do to sort of promote the game more to kids and get them watching? Because I think that's an issue too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may have some kids. I mean, look at you. You played up through the college ranks, but when it comes to watching,
yeah,
good.
really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a scathing testament, right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how to do that, but I would say I think what I'm not always trying to make things a racial thing. I'm really not. There seems to, and not saying that, athleticism is not, the province of any one group of people. That being said, I think baseball misses some of the acrobatic type kind of athleticism that it seemed like I thought I saw more so in the 70s and 80s. Like stealing bases was an athletic thing to do. Guys like Ricky Henderson, you look at him, you're like, man, that dude could play any sport he wanted to play. You had guys like Dion and Jordan. I can't remember his first name.
Brian Jordan.
That both played, football with the Falcons, but also played baseball. You had that type of athleticism. Kyler Murray. So it's not like the athletes aren't there, but they're not really playing baseball, and it's like their athleticism is being, I don't know, it's being held in check, or it's not being allowed to flourish. We just earlier talked about John Moran. We both all three of us shaking our heads like, man, that guy's something special. This guy does a dunk on Pirtle. He does a 360 move when he plays the Bulls, and he makes a falling away shot in the corner. Basketball is appealing because you're going to see something athletically that you may never have ever seen before, and you think you've seen it all until you see somebody else do something differently. Football offers the same type of instantaneous moments, and not that baseball doesn't have them, but it just seems like it's so few and far in between. Like you need to have a dude like Jim Edmonds purposely misreading the ball and running back to make it look like a great catch every time, just to get excited. I mean, yeah, we can see the highlights. It's like baseball is almost becoming like soccer to me in terms of the highlights. The highlights look great, but watching the game is like a yawn. So you got to find some way, and maybe the pitchers need to pitch faster. I don't know. I don't know how you can get that athleticism to translate. It used to. It seemed like it did back in the day.
Well, Billy Beane said that it's not worth stealing bases.
Yeah, analytics.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Killed the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. It is worth stealing the base.
and it's crazy that so many. He was the first to really bring that out, and ain't won shit.
Yeah, that's real.
All these teams following that mindset of a loser. Like I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. Like it's they got a lot to try to figure out. Like I'm sitting here listening to Jim, and it's like I think baseball top plays are the greatest plays when you see them. But like GM said, but when you're watching the game, you might doze off and miss that play. Right. You know, like versus in a basketball game, it's constant action. So you're locked in. So you're not going to miss that John Morant dunk on Polo. And you're not going to miss the 360 layup. NFL, you're not going to miss the touchdown. You know, it's constant action. It's too much dead period in baseball.
Yeah,
too much within the game.
Even hockey has better action than baseball.
Hockey is the most. I will tell you, hockey, especially if you go in person.
If you go to a game, totally different.
My goodness, we mess around. We got lucky, and I got to sit between. No, it wasn't between the benches. It was actually between the penalty boxes for a period.
Oh, okay.
That's a freaking fast game, man. Just back and forth, and very few stoppages in play. You know, that's an issue for baseball.
But one thing though that we discussed when it came about was how we were all very in tune to the COVID season. That they had. We were all in tune with that because it was such a short season.
It was a sprint.
It was a sprint, and they may have to shrink the season.
I think that's you know that's not gonna happen.
I know it ain't gonna happen.
You know it's not gonna happen. But I was talking.
That's the
I
way
was
to
talking to
say
somebody. I was talking to somebody today about that, and I said 120, maybe 140.
If you increase the playoff teams, then you could shorten it.
They increased it though that time.
Yeah,
with that short season,
they made it 14. It was 14 teams.
What was it? 16?
Was it 16?
I think it was 8 and 8. It was like a tournament bracket.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think it was 16.
Yeah, you're right. That would have made it even. You're right.
Just saying that might be the answer. If you shorten the
but that's not gonna happen, man, because of
the money,
because of revenue.
What I'm saying, if you shorten it, you may be able to recoup that with the revenue by having those playoff games, and you increase the teams.
No, that's a lot of that's you're talking about a lot of games being taken out. You're not gonna make it up with just playoff money.
Well, if
or
baseball,
just playoff games.
Baseball doesn't do what the NFL does as far as the revenue sharing. They don't do it to the degree that the NFL does. They might need to consider that.
They do share the playoff because that's they all share the national television package.
Okay.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I just remember as a youngster, like preteen, teenage years, early 20s, watching a guy like Bo Jackson was just like, it was eye popping, like, okay, you like, I'm watching this game because I might see something, even if he's breaking a bat over his head, you're going to see something running up the wall, Dave Parker throwing from right field, Cobra getting somebody at home plate. Like you don't see the plays at the plate like you used to. Seeing Vince Coleman steal bases, seeing Vince Coleman go up against, who's going to be the MLB, base stealer for that year, Ricky Henderson, Vince Coleman, Willie Wilson. I mean, just seeing those guys be aggressive and attack.
Those guys were stealing. They were stealing 100 bases a year. I think the leader now is like in the 30s or 40s, maybe.
And most base stealers are pinch runners. That's all they can do.
Right.
Analytics has killed the game.
You don't even see hit and running like you used to, and you definitely don't see squeeze play. I mean, all the things that made baseball, a lot of what made baseball a national pastime and even a popular sport throughout generations, 40s, 50s, 60s, especially when you started seeing, when baseball allowed itself to not be racially neutered, and then you started getting players from around the world coming in and competing. It was like, man, it was a hit of growth spurt.
It was
in the 40s,
pure.
50s.
It was pure.
And
Like you said, hitting, running, bunting, squeeze bunting. Now it's about strikeouts and home runs.
Yeah, that's boring.
After you've eliminated steroids, which they're still doing, but you eliminated steroids in a sense. And now it's all about velo and home runs. If you hit 230, but you hit 40 home runs, you're an all-star. You're deemed to be great. Like, that wasn't the case back in the day. Guys was doing that and hitting close to 300, if not over 300. Like, the game, it was a pure game back then. Hit and run, putting the ball in play, doing the little things to advance the runners. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah,
it's not the case anymore.
Working on your pickoff move if you're a pitcher,
Let me ask this: what do you think about eliminating the shift?
I definitely think they should.
Really?
Yes,
I do too.
Because that's part of why the game sucks.
You need to have
because it's taking hits away.
Yeah, you need to have more balls in play. That's.
I don't know. I guess I'm such a defensive-minded person. To me, if you can devise a strategy to keep them from scoring,
and here's the deal.
I get it.
We were always.
I get it.
We were taught.
But it's hurting the game.
When I learned the game, you were always taught take the ball up the middle, right?
Right.
Well, now in the shift,
you can't.
Where are you gonna hit? So now
can't you hit where they ain't? Isn't that learning how to hit the ball? Hit where they ain't. I mean, control your bat. I mean, look, if Tony Gwynn's up,
that makes the game boring.
If Tony Gwynn's up there, he's hitting where they ain't.
If I can't, everybody's not Tony Gwynn,
and they probably play him straight up anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, that's part of the man. There's no hits going on here. I'm turning this off.
Because I say this to your point, Jim. Hit it where they ain't. So if I'm up there, okay, you got the shift on, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to be okay with little possibly broken bat jam shots that will get through that second base hole. That's not appealing to the eye. That's okay. You got a hit, but that ain't shit. Like, that's a cheap hit, and most people eyes, like, want to see it hit hard through there. But if you're gonna give it to me now, granted, I'm gonna try to. If me as a player, I'm going to try to take it. So I don't care if I push bunt it to that area and no one's there. But it's just not going to be appealing to the eye. I definitely think the shift eliminates more runs being scored, and it make it more of a pitcher's game, which makes the game boring.
So you're saying baseball needs to change some rules like basketball's done, and I guess basketball probably changes their rules the most, but something to make it so that the game, like checking, like football does as well. But I guess I'm speaking to basketball because it's one extreme. I'm comparing, like, football's kind of moderate, basketball's one extreme, baseball's the other, where they don't really make changes. But like for basketball, hand checking, we talk about the 90s and the 80s and how it was to grabbing, and how the guys now were retired, like, man, if nobody grabbed me, I could be scoring 10 more points a game, But you look at basketball now, it's a higher scoring game. I mean, you're looking at scores now, most teams average around 110, 115, points a game. And back in the 90s, when the Bulls were winning championships, you keep a team under 100, you won that game,
Yeah.
The Bulls keeping people, closer to 89, 90 points a game.
Yeah, I was going to say, back then, games rarely got to the hundreds.
Right.
And that was what you got? The Bulls scored 100, like a free donut.
Yeah, you got
Taco.
Big Mac. No.
Taco. Big Mac. It was a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
it was different stuff every so. But
well, I remember. Check this out. Like, I remember back when I first started going to Bulls games, mid '80s. Teams were scoring more. It was 120. and you got a Big Mac or whatever it was. And then once the late 80s to the 90s came, the scoring went down tremendously. And so that's when they went to 100 points. So, but yeah, that's
now as if a person missed 2 consecutive free throws in the fourth quarter.
They can't get rid of they can't get rid of that swag
now, because you barely keeping somebody under 100 points.
Right.
You can't gauge the amount of points nowadays. So hey, if they miss 2 consecutive free throws, we Portillo's hot dog.
Hey, I'm with that.
That's what it is now.
I go to
and you can do it at home.
Go to Portillo's all day, baby.
You can do this QR code from
and Portillo's. If you're listening, we need a sponsor. Hey, yo, let's go down to the Bayou, to Smoke's old home territory, Grambling State University, and they've been in all types of stuff this week. They hired Art Briles as the new offensive coordinator. The top alumni could I say that? The most recognized alumni. Yes. Doug Williams came out and said he was out. You hired Art Briles. I told him not to. They did anyway. I'm out. And so they caught a lot of flack nationally. It was talked about on ESPN, First Take with Stephen A. And yesterday, Art Briles decided, it wasn't worth it. So he decided to resign. Smoke, you're an alum.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what the people down in Grambling were thinking with this hire and what they think now.
So as far as most of the alumni groups that I'm in, they actually were pretty happy about the hire. Okay. Believe it or not. Right. Now, hear me. I don't know if a lot of them actually knew his history, knew his past. Where I was a little more shocked was the amount of former football players that I know I was at Grambling with that was excited about the hire. Granted, they probably don't care about what happened. For me, I will say I didn't really care about the hire, but I knew it wasn't going to last. I knew at the state that we're in right now in this country, it wasn't going to last. I kept telling my boys, he will be shamed out of that position. Like, yeah, did he have a great offensive mind when he was at Baylor? Do people deserve a second chance? Yeah, but he has a whole lot going against him in this instance. One, you're a white man trying to get to HBCU for a second chance. Strike one. In the climate now in football where Black coaches are not getting opportunities of such, strike two. Strike three, and the most important strike, your issue at Baylor involved women. Me Too movement has taken over society. So I knew it was not going to last. It was going to end with him being shamed out of that position. Now, where I have my own personal issues is with Doug Williams being the voice for Graham. Man, miss me with that. I told them no. Why? First off, why are you being consulted for anything? The worst state that Grambling was in as a football program came under your watch. We were forfeiting games in 2011, 2012 under your watch. Well, right after your watch, you got fired, and then the next year the kids started making excuses about the weight room and all that stuff. It was all over the news. I don't know if y'all remember. It was on like CNN, stuff like that, and they started putting these videos and pictures how the weight room was terrible. Now, here, I got to Grambling in 2005. That weight room facility was fairly new. It was like maybe 4 or 5 years old when I got there. Looked amazing. I finished playing baseball in 2009. Didn't look bad at all. So how did in 2-3 years it look that bad? Like, nah, somebody got some explaining to do. And it all started because Doug Williams was so caught up in starting his son, who was terrible at quarterback. And it tarnished the program. So that's one thing. But then on the flip side, for you to say how you're so against this and all this, yet you're happily employed down in Washington with the organization that is under these same type of scrutinies. How about you quit your job? Quit your job if you're so concerned about Grambling hiring somebody that has that type of past. Okay, you're being employed by somebody that has that past. Well, no, has that current in the organization, and you're not doing anything about it. Like, miss me with that. Like, I just feel like, dude, you don't speak for the whole university. You're not the right guy.
So how do you really feel?
That's how I feel.
So you're calling him a hypocrite, basically.
Yes. Granted, is his premise correct? Yeah, it is. But I think it's more out of jealousy than actual true intent.
Why did you say jealousy?
Doug Williams has not been happy for the program since his team. He's been behind the scenes hating. He hated on Coach Fobbs. Now he's making news about this situation. He doesn't like the fact that Dion. I just feel he's trying to be in the news. Like, shut up.
Wow, that's
like
Grambling legend.
That's just how I feel.
First round pick.
Right, good for him.
He finished in the top 5 Heisman voting that year. Come on.
I ain't played football, so they should have had Coach Ellis speak on this.
That's before my time.
Well, my question is anyone, are they going, who's catching hell? Like Art Briles. Here's the thing. I don't think Art Briles, and hear me out, I don't think he should be the one, quote unquote, catching hell, because he's just trying to get a job. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I think what he allowed to happen at Baylor works against him, and it should work against him. I think that he's a borderline piece of crap because he had to know something. Is it 32 allegations? I mean, come on, man. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 might get past you, but when you start getting into double digits, that's willful ignorance. So that's not cool at all. But my thing is, the people who sought to hire him, I think those are the ones who should be taking the task. It's like, what were you thinking? Like, why would you want to bring that kind of element? You know, he's not the only coach that you have to have. There's a whole bunch of coaches out there. And like you said, considering the atmosphere that we're in, particularly the NFL, where not just NFL, but even in college sports as well, college football as well. I mean, you can count on one hand probably how many head coaches there are in Division I football, or FBS football. So that was a bad, like, whose idea was it? Who signed off on it? That's what I want to know, because maybe we should be looking at them and the decision that they make, and maybe they shouldn't be in the positions they are to make those kind of, not controversial would be nice, but just those kind of caustic, choices.
They need they clearly didn't have a trusted PR team behind them.
No.
When they decided this.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you even remotely thinking about something that may be controversial, you should always have a PR team to say, that's not going to play. Probably shouldn't do that. Or if you are going to do that, this is how you do it, and to walk you through it. They clearly didn't do that. I'm one for, I believe in second chances. I know my school, now mind you, we're talking about players here, but there were a lot of guys that transferred in that were given second chances for some missteps that they had in college, right?
Yeah, it's a little different, but okay.
I agree, but hear me out. So I'm with second chances, but I didn't understand why why did Grambling have to give Art Briles
Yeah.
his second chance?
Yeah,
That's
that's exactly my thoughts as well.
yeah,
Like
that it doesn't make
that's my
sense.
thoughts. And that's what I was trying to explain to like some of my guys who, from Grambling who were like, man, like his coaches out there that's currently doing worse stuff than this, and ain't nobody, saying. I'm like, you got to think about. We're talking about Grambling. We're talking about an HBCU. We cannot afford this type of press
No,
about our university.
no.
This could potentially put us underwater forever, where
This
we
is
would never be able to survive it. Like, so something has to happen. Like, they have to make a stand, or I'm like, more than likely, they're going to shame him into resigning.
yeah. Grambling is
Like,
the Grambling, for better or worse. I hate to have to say this, but Grambling is the face of Black college football. You think about Black college football, the first place you think of historically is Grambling because of Eddie Robinson and what he did there.
Right.
So it just doesn't make sense for them to go for Art Briles, especially when and shame on Hugh on what's his name, Hugh Jackson, for even having to do that. You're an NFL coach with, I guess you have some offensive pedigree there. You didn't have to go get Art Briles.
You could have been a coordinator.
Yeah, or you find it's hundreds of other candidates that you bring in and you can help guide.
Exactly. You could have brought in somebody that you view as potential to grow into a great coordinator, and you were that person grow.
You were just on TV, after the Brian Flores stuff came out. You were the one that was on TV talking about Black coaches not getting fair shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring a guy with with this background, with what happened at Baylor, to an HBCU. That that makes no sense to me. And it's not because he's white. There were many other white candidates that would have fit this for this program and would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you went and got the one that has the guy at the program that had the multiple sexual assaults. So I'm glad they came to their senses and and figured this out. But yeah, shame on them, man. And that goes for Hugh Jackson, that goes for the AD, that goes for the president of the university.
Yeah.
They're all culpable in this. So
yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, the guy's been out of work since 2016. I mean, as great as an offensive mind that everyone believes him to be, no Power 5 has even touched him. Right. So, like Hugh, what were you thinking? Like you thought that it's Grambling, it might fly under the radar.
Right.
No, us hiring you didn't fly under the radar. like the swag, the HBCUs is in a new light in today's world now. Are we where we want to be? Hell no. But we're in a new light where things are starting to be published out there. And so you couldn't have thought this was just going to be, okay, hired out Briles and nothing was to be said of it. No, once I saw it hit, because it started with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, I say, oh, shoot, this ain't good. This ain't good at all. It's on ESPN. Oh, man, this is not good. And now we just, Hugh, okay, you made that mistake. Now, how do we move on forward? Art Briles got you out of it by stepping down, but now you still have some damage control that you have to do. So that's how I view it.
Yeah, 25 years ago, this would have been
Swept under the rug.
Would have been all right. Yeah, yeah. We live in a different time now.
Yeah, it's a different day and age.
Different time. Hey, last thing here. It's March, which is Women's History Month. And I got a story here from the WNBA. The New York Liberty have been fined $500,000 for chartering flights during the season.
Wow.
They were told that this is against the collective bargaining agreement because it gives a competitive, it creates a competitive disadvantage. Not all of the teams in the WNBA are able to fly charter because ownership, for some of those teams can't afford that. So to be on equal footing, I guess they fly commercial.
Commercial, what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an issue with that.
Because what's in that? I don't know if y'all have seen Liz Cambridge.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all seen a while ago when she was still with the Aces and they hired Becky Hammond. And she was like, funny, you can hire a coach and pay a coach all this money, yet I gotta try to upgrade my ticket all the time to get better seats.
There you go.
On the planes.
There you go.
And like somebody was like, I'm like, hell no. A coach in the WNBA should not be making more than the players. I don't care. Like, I don't care Becky Hammond's, resume, history. Like, Becky Hammond should understand that she was fighting for the same thing they were fighting for when she was playing. Like I agree with the players. Like, so you magically got all this money to pay the coach, but not us? That's kind of wrong. And this situation is insane. This is insane. I don't get it.
I mean, instead of
it's an unfair advantage.
Instead of finding a team, how about figuring out how you can, make sure that the teams can fly comfortably.
But how is this an unfair advantage? When was the last time the Liberty won the WNBA championship?
Was it the
first? No. The Houston, they got there.
Oh, that's right. They got
Houston won the four.
Yeah.
I think they lost. They had Teresa Weatherspoon. They lost to Houston.
Right.
But I don't know if they ever even won a title.
I don't know. Did Rebecca Lobo win one?
I don't know.
With the Liberty?
With Liberty? I don't know.
Let's see.
It sucks when you cheat, get caught, and you still not win. Or, I shouldn't say cheat, but when you do things of dubious nature, it still doesn't work out for you.
Well, I think the WNBA needs to, and the NBA for that matter, needs to figure out this whole travel thing. That's ridiculous. And I know, I'm sure people will say, well, the NBA up until, the mid 80s or late 80s were flying commercial.
Yeah, different league, different money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the New York Liberty has lost 4 championships.
Oh, wow.
Never won one. They were in 3 of the first 4.
So the
WNBA finals versus the Houston Comets and lost.
The charter flights aren't really working that much, huh?
And then they haven't been to the finals since 2002.
All right. Well, yeah. We put
so
the
I don't know the unfair advantage that is.
They need to figure that out quick. That's a problem. That's a problem. Maybe use that $500,000 for charter flights. How about that? For the rest of the league. That should be it. By the way, I'm gonna try to check out a Sky game this year. At the Wintrust. Yeah. That's my goal for the summer.
I'll say this: after paying $500,000, they sure as hell won't be on no charter now. They could be riding the cargo. FedEx cargo, babe.
That's crazy.
Oh man. So yeah, that'll do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I want to thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and newly on YouTube. Catch it. I think it's easy.smoke.gm podcast, I believe is the YouTube channel. So please go check us out, subscribe, and like us. We greatly appreciate that if you would. You can also catch it at hp53productions.com. There you'll find a link to the podcast, as well as the Father Good podcast hosted by Marshall Givens and Kenny Stevenson, and the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs. And you catch me on there as well as a producer, giving a supporting voice on the show. So go check us out there. Yo, Glenn.
Yep.
Please take us out.
Hey, it's like we always say, we ain't saying we're right. We just don't think we're wrong.
We'll catch you next week.